Hello, 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 my loves. As always, I hope that this live or this replay finds you well and in excellent spirits. Happy Monday, and welcome to another edition of the weekly Astro Forecast live here in the Astro Room on YouTube. I'm your host and your favorite astrologer, Mel of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So, if this is our first time meeting, welcome. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So, this channel is all about astrology, spirituality, and manifestation. So, if those are the things you like, if those are the things you love, or if those are the things you want to learn more about, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so you'll always be notified when I come out with new content. All right, my loves. So, this is the weekly astro forecast for the week of November 3rd through November 9th, 2025. All right, how are we feeling today? We have a full moon that's coming up. And so you may be feeling the effects of that already. One of the things that invariably always happens when there is a full moon is that it can really disrupt your sleep schedule. Either you find that you're super tired or maybe you can't sleep at all. I know that for me personally, especially when it's full moons, I have a very hard time sleeping. Like I'll sleep like really deeply for like 2 hours and then I'm like up for the rest of the night. But regardless, so this one, I feel like you may be feeling a little more tired, especially if you're here in the United States with daylight savings time going back. Typically, I find that I love when it goes back because you feel like you get that extra hour of sleep, but it has just made me so tired. Like I felt like I was dragging my ass all day today. But regardless, the other effect of a full moon is illumination. And perhaps there is something that you're being shown right now, particularly in the house that Taurus is in. So this should be not only a very eye-opening week, but also a dynamic one because there is a lot going on this week. All right. Typically, I like to keep it to 2, 3 at the most sort of astrological activities for the week when I bring these lives. However, we have so much going on this week that this live is going to be a little more information. All right. So get comfortable, get a snack, get a drink, lock in because we are about to get into it. All right. But before we do all that, if you are joining me here on the live tonight, thank you so much for tuning in. I sincerely appreciate you. Say hi. And I want you to comment where Taurus is in your natal chart by house. What house is Taurus in your natal chart? All right. And don't forget to hit that like button on your way in as well. It helps the channel immensely. It lets the algorithm know that you like this content, so it will disseminate it to other people who may like it as well. All right. And if you are watching me on the replay, I appreciate you just as much. And I hope that you find exactly what you're looking for in this broadcast. So maybe you want to know more about astrology. Maybe you're curious about what's going on this week. Maybe you're going through something and you're like, I wonder what's up with the astrology. And you're watching this. Hopefully that answers all of your questions. And if it does, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe button, and notification bell, please. And thank you. All right. So today's November 3rd. I just wrapped up my 31-day money and astrology series on Halloween. So if you haven't had a chance to check that out yet, please do. If you're new around here, I just did a 31 video series all about money and astrology and the various topics that encompass this subject matter. It's a lot. And I don't want you to think that you have to watch all of them, although it's cool if you do, right? But it's really just meant to be a library of information that you can reference, right? As you get to know your natal chart more, as you learn astrology and you learn certain things, certain questions may arise. And I hope that this series definitely helps answer some of those questions. And so now that we're in a new month, we're doing it all again. But this month we are focusing on love and astrology. So everything relationships is what I will be discussing throughout the month of November. So every day I am dropping a video at 7 p.m. Eastern to talk about love and astrology, the different topics, different subject matter. It's astrology and spirituality mixed together. It's a whole vibe. So if you haven't logged into the channel yet already, now is the best time because there's a lot going on over here. Plus, I'm live here every night on Monday evenings at 9:30 p.m. Eastern to bring you the weekly astral forecast. So I've got you covered on so many different bases over here. So again, subscribe, set notifications, and like the videos and share them as well, because this is information that I think that so many people probably would love to know about, but they don't even know that they would love to know about it, right? It's one of those things where if you send it to someone, they're like, "Oh, I didn't know that, but that's really cool." I find that astrology tends to do that a lot. So share it. Share it with your group, share it with your friends, share it and help everyone not only understand themselves, not only understand their lives, but change their financial story and their romantic stories. And we're doing all of that here on the channel. So that is my soapbox that I am now getting off. So now let us get into the week. So like I said, there is a lot going on this week. This is a very dynamic week. Essentially we have three planets changing signs. We have a retrograde beginning, our all-time favorite, and we have a full moon, all right? And so I just dropped a video on the upcoming full moon in Taurus. The link is going to be in the description box below. So check that out if you haven't checked them out already. All right. But let's get into the theme for this week. All right. So the theme is love, lust, and liberation. All right. So that's kind of a heavy kind of theme right there, right? Love, lust, and liberation. We do have quite a bit of Scorpio energy. We do have some Sagittarius energy that's also creeping in, and we've got Mercury retrograde. We also have Uranus making a move this week. And so it's really a week where things can feel really intense. There's still this energy of I'll just call a spade a spade. Mars has been in Scorpio, its home sign of Scorpio for a little bit, for a couple of weeks now. And that has brought up a lot of lust. It's brought up a lot of passion. It's brought up a lot of transformative kind of energy. And I want to say that's definitely one of the facets of lust that I don't think gets talked about enough. Now, oftentimes when you hear the word lust, it usually has a negative connotation to it, right? It's like it's not a good thing. It's this yearning that's almost forbidden, right? But when you talk about lust, especially in the context of Scorpio, with Mars being in Scorpio currently, it is very transformative and it's very alchemical, I'll say, right? Because that longing, that deep desire can really be used as the impetus and the catalyst for change. And don't forget, Scorpio is the sign of change, it's the sign of transformation. And with Mars being the planet of initiation and starting things, you see where I'm going with this. Like, it's the perfect opportunity to really change some things, especially things that you are passionate about. It's so interesting, and I don't know if it's because of the age I've reached or how society even is right now, but so many people are disenchanted with life. They're disenchanted with their jobs here in the US. It's been over a month since there's been a government shutdown. People are losing their benefits. Like everyone is just they're over it. They're over it. The job market is tanking. Like everyone is just over it. And so when you think about Mars and Scorpio, juxtapose everything that's going on in society, it's really the breeding ground for change. And change, not just for the sake of, oh, I just want to get a job to survive. Mars is like, I am making a change for something that I really want, something that I'm really passionate about. And that's sort of where we are. And that speaks to liberation as well. Uranus is making a move, which is one thing, but with this energy of not only Scorpio, but of Sagittarius, because now Mars is also about to move into Sagittarius this week as well. There is this desire to be liberated, this desire to break free, this desire to start something different in a very big sort of way. Okay. So don't think of it as random if you are feeling like this is what you want to do. If you're feeling this kind of energy, if you're feeling like making a change, it's like the astrology literally supports it. And it's no coincidence that you feel that way, right? No coincidence at all. And then we've also got Venus entering Scorpio. So there is this, I mean, that speaks more to lust as well. But it also gives this transformative energy when it comes to, Venus topics, which are mostly money and relationships, right? Everything I'm currently talking about here on the channel, Venus and Scorpio is like, all right, we can really transform these things. We can really make a change. But Venus and Scorpio, it's the dark side of Venus. It's the underbelly of Venus. Venus on the surface loves beauty, aesthetics. She loves everything to be harmonious, everyone to get along. But Venus and Scorpio understands the flip side of that. She understands conflict. She understands and appreciates conflict. She understands a lack of abundance. She understands the negative part of everything that she embodies. And when Venus is in Scorpio, transformation comes from integrating that dark part in order to move forward. Everything cannot be love and light all the time. Like, that's just not how things work. We live in a very dualistic reality, right? And when you're able to integrate the dark side, it gives you this depth, it gives you this understanding, it gives you this transformative power that you wouldn't have if you just focused on the beauty and the abundance, right? Of course, you want to focus on those things because obviously that's what you want. But you can't ignore the reality. You can't ignore the fact that if you're saying, oh, I want to be a millionaire, but you can't hold money for anything. Money is like water in your hands. You can't hold it, right? You cannot ignore that. You have to address that. So essentially, Venus and Scorpio addresses that uh dark side, that shadow side. And in doing so, that's what helps liberate you. The saying is the truth shall set you free. And the truth can often hurt, right? It can sometimes be enlightening, it be great. There's, the truth is a beautiful thing, but it could also hurt like hell. But it's liberating, right? And so, with this plethora of Scorpio energy that we're experiencing this week, it's about understanding pain. It's about understanding ugliness. It's about understanding negativity and transmuting it and alchemizing it into something that you want, something new, right? So, that's sort of where we're at with all of that. All right. And so, if you are ready to transform something, if you are feeling this energy, I want you to I want you to put a black heart in the comments or in the chat and let me know that you're here, that you're listening, and that you are ready to make some serious changes in your life. All right. So now let's get into the astrology for the week. Actually, before we get into the astrology, do I want to do this now? Yes, I want to do this now. All right. I'm going to pull some cards for us just to get a general sense of the energy for the week. All right. So I'm going to pull 3 cards and see what Spirit has to say about the energy for the week, about what we can expect, all that good stuff. All right. Okay, there we go. So let's see what we have at the bottom of the deck. All right, bottom of the deck, we've got, oops, we've got King of Pentacles. King of Pentacles is the master of the physical. This is sort of where we want to be. You know, it's like you are abundant, but not only that, it's like you are a good steward of your resources. Like, this is like a money manager. This is someone who's got money in the bank. This is someone who is well resourced, someone who is, their savings account, they've got the emergency fund, they've invested, right? Like, money is not, I'm not gonna say money is not an issue, but you have a good handle on your financial situation or just your resources in general. There's a certain stability that this card evokes, and I feel like this is the theme that the universe is trying to really push to us this week. And when I say stability, I don't even only mean money. I really think that just being stable, whether it's in your relationships, whether it's in your job, right? The tangible things in your life Having stability and mastery over them, I believe, is a theme for the week. Now, the first card out is the Ten of Swords. So this is good. So this is letting us know that the worst is behind you, if you will allow it to be. So the worst of the situation is done. The storm has passed. And now it's time to move forward. Now it's time to sort of take the knives out of your back and it's time to be reborn. So there is this reset energy that is really available to us this week. And it's really important that once you take out these knives, you don't hold on to them. And these knives could really represent our thoughts, um our negative thoughts, right? Especially if we've been going through a difficult situation. Acknowledge the situation that you've been going through, but don't bring it into this new chapter. The one thing that I have really been cognizant about practicing is when I'm starting something new, I start with a clean slate. I try my hardest not to bring my past experiences, my past hurts, my past hangups into this new chapter. I want this chapter to be clean, right? And I feel like that's what the universe is really trying to say right now. It's like what happened in the past, but it doesn't have to be your future. The only reason why it would be your future is if you bring it into the future. So try your hardest not to do that. All right. The next card we have is the High Priestess. I'm getting two things here. One, this is a week of using your intuition. And with this plethora of Scorpio energy, that definitely makes sense. This is a time of intuition. Scorpio being a water sign and being a sign of such depth and transformation. The only way that you're going to navigate this is with your intuition, right? Oftentimes our logic keeps us very limited because it only understands what it already knows, what it can perceive with the five senses. But if you're trying to have something new, you don't want to box yourself in with logic. You want to lead with intuition. That's number one. Number two, someone could be assisting you, and this person could be like a high priestess, right? So this could be a reader, it could be a psychic, it could be a medium, or it just could be like a trusted advisor that is really tapped into their intuition and they can guide you. So, especially if you're having difficulties moving into this new cycle, right? Especially if you feel like you're bogged down by negativity, you're finding it hard to start off with a clean slate, then you'll want to consult someone who is like this, like a high priestess, who can help not only tap into their intuition, but help you tap into yours so that you can allow your third eye to guide you as opposed to your logic. Okay. And then our final card is the Eight of Swords. Okay. And so this is like Scorpio energy can be very obsessive, right? Scorpio is co ruled by Mars, and Mars is the planet of hyperfixation. I think I talked about this a lot last week, right? The Eight of Swords is like being fixated on something. So it's almost like I want you to limit distractions. You see how this person is just tied up, their eyes are closed. They can really only focus on what they're immediately experiencing. That's how you have to enter this new cycle or this reset, right? It's like, oh, and if you look, this is a full moon. So there's something about the full moon in Taurus that's also very prominent here in the sense that perhaps this full moon is going to show you something related to your stability or related to money or maybe even relationships, right? Because Taurus is ruled by Venus. It would really behoove you to like focus on that one thing. If that's the thing that you want to change, and it very likely will be, because I feel like the universe is going to show you here, listen, this is what we're dealing with right now, for better or for worse. And I feel like it's up to you to say, okay, I'm going to hyperfixate on this. Like, this is the one thing that I'm going to change. This isn't the time to do a million and one things. It's not the time to, I want to change this, I want to change that. No, just the one. Focus on just the one. And that's how you'll start to build momentum. And that's how you'll start to see and experience success. But, oh, and then under, the King of Pentacles card, we have the Six of Wands. So there is like a happy outcome here. So whatever it is that you're endeavoring to change, I feel like you will be successful at it if you do not bring negativity into this new cycle. If you allow your intuition to guide you, and if you're having issues with that, seek out counsel from someone who can assist, right? Like a high priestess. And you focus on the one thing. And I think you'll be successful. It's a pretty straightforward reading and a pretty straightforward formula. All right. So hopefully that made sense. And hopefully, it's something that you all can do this week, and by you all, I mean myself as well. Okay. So now let us get into the week and see exactly what we've got going on. So first, we've got Mars entering Sagittarius. So like I said, Mars in Scorpio, very lusty, very transformative, very alchemical, and very potent, right? Because Mars is in its home sign of Scorpio. Now, as Mars moves into Sagittarius, it's about adventure. More so than anything else, Mars in Sagittarius is about risk taking. It's about risk taking and being like slightly reckless. Now, you're not going to have too much time to enjoy this energy, but for the most part, this is the time to open yourself up to new adventures, to be spontaneous. Sagittarius is the sign of spontaneity. And when you have a fiery initiating energy planet like Mars, starting a new adventure, being spontaneous, being a little reckless, but not to your detriment or to the detriment of others. But, this could be Mars in Sagittarius feels like the push that you need to start something. You want to look at where Sagittarius is in your natal chart because this is where you could really be a little risky and start something new. And whatever it is that you're starting, whatever adventure you're embarking upon, it should be something that's far reaching or that's very how would I say this? Big picture, right? Something that really you're optimistic about, you're passionate about, right? Your natal Mars. I like that, which means that you're about to have your Mars returned. So for you, that's very much a reset, right? Mars returning to its natal placements. Um, Issues related to initiating and starting and being hyper focused on something is going to be emphasized at this time for you. So it's really, for you especially, it's really a great time to start something new, right? But yes, big picture, right? And in a very direct sort of way. Mars thrives in a sign like Sagittarius because Sagittarius is a fire sign. So Mars feels comfortable being a little fiery and being a little spicy, and so should you, right? That's where the risk taking comes in, where you can kind of, I don't want to necessarily say act out of character, but in a way you can. You really can act out of character to start something new big picture wise. That's the first thing that we've got going on this week. And then next we've got the full moon in Taurus. Now, I did a whole video on this, and again, if you haven't checked it out yet, the link is in the description box below so you can check that out at your leisure, okay? But stability is the name of the game with this full moon in Taurus. Now, keep in mind that full moons either illuminate or culminate. Think of culmination as the manifestation coming to fruition. It's when you are crossing the finish line. Think of illumination as the universe showing you something that's been hidden or something that's been in the shadows is going to be illuminated under the light of the moon. Regardless of whatever sort of flavor you're experiencing at this full moon in Taurus, stability is the name of the game. So it really could have a lot to do with money, Could have to do with relationships, right? It also depends on where this is happening in your natal chart. So take a look at Taurus and see where that is happening. And if you want to know how your particular rising sign can experience this particular full moon, then you'll want to join me over in Cosmic Collective, which is my private online community where I have exclusive content, sign specific videos for every full moon, new moon, every monthly forecast, plus bonus videos. All right. So I just dropped the full moon and Taurus horoscopes in there. So if you are a member, definitely check that out. And if you're not, you still should check out the community. It's great. I go live there every week as well. You get exclusive content, plus you get a great community of amazing people, and you get a 2-week free trial so you can figure out if it's even right for you. All right. So if you're interested, link is in the description box below. All right. But like I was saying, it's all about stability. It's all about groundedness. But what I love the most about this full moon is that there is this infusion of pleasure as well. I think, and this goes back to what I was saying when I first started the live, so many people have become disenchanted with life that we've gotten to the point where, for the longest time, so many of us did things because we had to. So many of us were, and perhaps still are, in survival mode, right? It's like you got to get a job because you got to pay the bills and you got to do this and you got to do that. And there's no shame in that. However, I think so many of us are waking up to the fact that life is just not about doing what you need to do. And this full moon is going to be a reminder of that. Pleasure is a part of the equation, always. Never get it twisted. Pleasure is always a part of the equation. Now, does it mean that you should only do things that make you feel good and that are pleasurable all the time? No, that wouldn't be the nature of life here on earth. But to the extent that you can, pleasure should be infused in what you do. And this full moon is going to remind you of that. It's going to show you that, or you're going to feel that and experience that, especially if you are crossing the finish line of something at this full moon, right? So keep that in mind. That's really important. And it's also about releasing scarcity. The thing about Taurus energy is that it loves comfort. Comfort and luxury are the realm of Taurus. And do you know what does not coexist with comfort and luxury? Scarcity. That scarcity mindset is the antithesis to comfort and luxury and groundedness, right? And remember, the card I pulled, where did I put it? This. This King of Pentacles. They're the master of their resources, right? They're sitting pretty. I mean, forget the fact that this guy has like one leg, right? But it's like you're sitting pretty, you're grounded, you're, stable, and you find pleasure in being grounded and stable, right? So it's really important that you tap into that energy. And the full moon is going to show this to you, perhaps where you are lacking pleasure in your life. Maybe little things that you can do to infuse more pleasure in your life, right? Or maybe even if you're on the other end of that spectrum and you're a little too much in the pleasure principle, maybe, the full moon is going to show you, ways that you need to ground yourself more. It goes both ways. If you're just working to pay bills, I feel like the universe is going to say, listen, that ain't it. We've got to reconfigure this. But if you're spending your rent money on, designer bags and you're about to get evicted, I also think the universe is going to be like, listen, you got to rein that in a little bit, right? Because above all else, Taurus is ruled by Venus. Venus is about balance. And full moons are always an opportunity to reestablish balance in our lives. So we're balancing groundedness and pleasure this time around. And that's really important because, like I said, pleasure should be a part of daily life. And this full moon is going to show you that on full blast. All right. So that is that. And so thereafter, we've got Venus entering Scorpio. And like I said before, this is also a little lusty, but Venus in Scorpio is So, as much as the full moon is going to show us about pleasure, at almost at the same time, we're going to be experiencing the opposite of that as well. And so don't let that trip you up because Venus is not comfortable in Scorpio at all. In astrology terms, Venus is in detriment in Scorpio. Venus is at home in Taurus. Scorpio is opposite of Taurus. So when a planet is in the sign that is opposite its home sign, it's known as being in detriment. And so the way that Venus and Scorpio operates is like things never turn out. Let me not say never, but things often don't turn out the way that you want them to. They don't turn out pretty, they don't turn out balanced. Venus and Scorpio will show you where things are out of whack, where things are ugly, where there's scarcity, where there's fear, even. Venus and Scorpio has a lot to do with intimacy issues and sort of the dark side of that. And it's important to see these things, like I said before, because it's all about alchemizing them, right? You can't just ignore them. The whole love and light and toxic positivity that never helps you. You have to see the darkness. You have to embrace the darkness. It is there that things are born. Think about it. When we think about things like the Big Bang Theory, or even when we think of things like birth, right? When a woman is pregnant, she's not carrying the baby on the outside for everyone to see. The baby is in the darkness, and it's wet, right? Like it's very much the realm of Scorpio, very much. But that is where things are born. And there's immense power there. But above all else, Venus in Scorpio is extremely magnetic. And I think I mentioned this before. I can't remember which live I was talking about, but Venus in Scorpio really wants you to understand your magnetism. And your magnetism isn't just comprised of love and light and everything that's beautiful and everything that's balanced. Your shadow side is also magnetic, right? Especially if you don't understand it, especially if you are ignoring it. Your shadow side could really be running the show. And maybe that's why your reality is looking and feeling the way that it is. But when you're able to understand, integrate, and alchemize that shadow side, this is where you become very powerful. So Venus in Scorpio holds immense power. It also can really uncover hidden wealth. Now, when I say wealth, I don't just mean financial wealth. You know, when you think about precious stones, when you think about diamonds, you have to mine them, right? You have to dig deep for them. You got to go where it's dark and dirty. Venus and Scorpio is like, if you're willing to undertake that task, you will indeed find diamonds. And that is your hidden wealth. Your hidden wealth could be a talent. Your hidden wealth could be a skill. Your hidden wealth could be a character trait. Your hidden wealth could be literally money, right? It could be a lot of different things. Okay. However, you have to be willing to face the darkness. And Venus and Scorpio over the next couple of weeks is going to challenge you to do so. So, are you up for that challenge? Keep that in mind. All right. And so moving right along. So we have Venus entering Scorpio, and then we have Uranus retrograde entering back into Taurus. Now, this is a transit that it's been really interesting. Okay. I've always described Uranus in Taurus as a bull in a china shop. Okay. And a bull that's seeing red in a china shop, just fucking shit up, right? And that's kind of what Uranus has been doing in Taurus since 2018. Now, fairly recently, over the last couple of months, Uranus entered Gemini. Okay. But that was just a preview because now Uranus is going back into Taurus to sort of tie up any loose ends and finish any business. Now, Uranus is the planet of liberation. And in a sign like Taurus, Uranus wanted you to break free from the things that keep you in your comfort zone. Uranus and Taurus wanted you to bust through the wall of your comfort zone and experience different things because it is on the other side of your comfort zone that you're going to experience wealth. And I'm talking about material wealth because that is the realm of Taurus, right? It is outside of your comfort zone that you're going to experience luxury. It's outside of your comfort zone that you're going to experience comfort, right? So that's what Uranus in Taurus has been doing. So, where is Taurus in your natal chart? You want to take a look at that because Taurus is kind of busy this week. There's a full moon in Taurus plus Uranus is going back into Taurus. Now, they're not going to be exactly conjunct, but wherever Taurus is in your natal chart is the part of life is going to be emphasized. There's going to be an exclamation point on that part of life. And Uranus and Taurus just wants to clear anything that keeps you stuck. Uranus and Taurus has been a wild ride, not just because of the nature of Uranus, but because Taurus is a fixed sign. Taurus likes stability, right? And Uranus is anything but stable. Now, me personally, I'm a Taurus rising. And the minute that Uranus entered my first house, which is, I'm a Taurus rising, so my first house would be Taurus. In 2018, I experienced an identity crisis. Literally. Like at that point in time, like my life imploded, which was part of the identity crisis, right? But figuring out who I was a challenge because outside circumstances completely changed who I thought I was. And I had to adapt. And over the last close to 8 years, because that's how long Uranus has been in Taurus, that identity for me has like flip flopped. And I've really been grappling with identity issues. And it has not been comfortable. There have been times where it's been very comfortable because I've settled into this new identity that was emerging. But it was like this tug of war between the old me and the new me. And it was extremely uncomfortable. And now that Uranus is sort of making this last pass through Taurus, it's really like, okay, have you liberated yourself from the things that kept you stuck, that kept you stable? It's not to say that stability is not a good thing. Stability is a great thing, but stability can often lead to complacency. And depending on what else you have going on in your life, what chapter you are in your life, complacency can be the antithesis to your purpose. I can speak firsthand that that's what was going on with me. The desire to want to stay in my old identity was or could have completely derailed my purpose to the point where you would not be seeing me right now, nor would you know me. The things that I'm doing right now have been born out of this identity crisis, if I'm being 100% honest. And it's part of my purpose. But the old part of me did not want to do any of this at all. Not because I wasn't equipped for it or anything like that. It's just I had this tug of war between who I was, who I thought I was, who I'm becoming. But I say all of this to say that Uranus wants to liberate you and get you sort of on the right track. And that may be uncomfortable, especially in a sign like Taurus. We're not new to this because, again, Uranus has been in Taurus since 2018. It's just that these are going forward. These are going to be the last couple of months where we're experiencing this turbulence and we're experiencing this erratic energy in the house that Taurus rules. Okay. Let's see. We have a comment here. I feel that old me versus new me. Since 2018, I've changed genders, truth over stability. Yes. Okay. That is definitely Uranus in Taurus, right? Truth over stability. I love that. I absolutely love that. Yes. Yes. And so that truth is liberation, right? That's exactly what I said before, that the truth shall set you free, right? And so the truth of who you are, the truth of what you value, right? Because that's also very much Taurus. The truth of what you value. Your values may change. What was important pre 2018 may be a non motherfucking factor right now that Uranus is on its way out. So you got to roll with the punches. Whenever we're talking about Uranus, you have to roll with the punches. You can't try to micromanage this change. You can't try to micromanage this liberation. You really just have to go with it, right? So do that. And it's not going to last for long because we've kind of gotten a taste of Uranus and Gemini, and Uranus and Gemini is starting to shake things up in the house that Gemini rules in your natal chart. But Uranus is just doing that last cleanup. And then in a couple of months, it'll be out of Taurus for good. So, especially if you've got Taurus in the first house, fourth house, seventh house, or 10th house, you're really feeling this energy, or you've really been feeling it, right? Because those are the initiating houses, those are the dynamic houses in our natal chart. So, it's almost over, and this too shall pass. All right. And then finally, to close out the week, we close out with our favorite Mercury retrograde. Now, it's so interesting. I was reading on Threads the other day. Somebody said, if you're experiencing all of like the Mercury retrograde fuckery, then it's like you still have a lot of work to do. And at first I was like, yeah. And then I was like, no, not necessarily. Um, the one thing I will say about Mercury retrograde is that it's not your ex is coming back. It can be if you've got Mercury retrograde happening in your fifth house or maybe your seventh house. Okay. If that is the case, then yeah, it's a possibility. But that's not what Mercury retrograde is about. It's about redoing, it's about a reset, and it's about a mental reset, right? The whole point of delays, and this is something that this message has been coming through very clearly over the last, I want to say 2 weeks. And I was even meditating on it a little bit this morning. Delays, things not going as planned, oftentimes really are for protection. And not necessarily protection like, oh, you're not going to be harmed, right? Like there's danger and you're being protected from that. No, sometimes it's just like, that's not the path you need to be going on. It's also redirection, right? And Mercury retrograde, it gets you. Mercury is retrograding in Sagittarius. It's beginning its retrograde in Sagittarius, and then it will retrograde back into Scorpio. Okay. It won't be spending too long in Sagittarius because Mercury literally just went into Sagittarius, I think, last week. Okay. But the Mercury retrograde fuckery, right? Electronics go haywire. I was going live on Friday. I went live in Cosmic Collective, and I have my usual setup, and I didn't realize that not even halfway during the live, like 5 minutes into the live, my mic stopped working, and I didn't realize that. So for a good 20 minutes, nobody could hear me, and I didn't even know that. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. Mercury is about to go retrograde. So the Mercury retrograde foolishness and fuckery is to get you to slow down. And in recent times, it also makes me think of, it gets us to stop depending so much on electronics, right? It gets us to really be intentional about how we communicate. And sometimes that delay, it is divine redirection. Mercury also rules modes of transportation. So, you get on the subway during Mercury retrograde and it's stalled or it's late. Or if you're in New York City, it's like somebody did some dumb shit and now now the whole system is backed up, right? That happens for a reason. As frustrating as it happens for a reason. And you kind of just got to go with it. Slow down. Stop and smell the roses to the extent that you can, to the extent that you're not completely frustrated. But it's protection, it's redirection, it's slowing down. And to know if you experience a lot of the Mercury retrograde stuff, it doesn't necessarily mean that you've got so much work to do. It's just certain things coming back around. Perhaps if you have work to do, yes, there are going to be certain things coming back around. But with Mercury being the trickster, anybody can get it. Anybody can experience the Mercury retrograde fuckery. It's not indicative of you having like a whole bunch of issues and a whole bunch of things to heal from. Your laptop imploding does not mean that you have more healing to do. Your cell phone glitching does not mean that you have more healing to do. So that's just a reminder to not always believe everything you read on the internet. Although I don't think I need to say that too much. But and in Sagittarius, Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius wants you to look at the details of the bigger picture. Mercury is not necessarily comfortable in Sagittarius. It is the sign of Mercury's detriment. Sagittarius is opposite to Gemini. Gemini is one of the home signs for Mercury. So Sagittarius is big picture, Mercury is details. When you are when we have a Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, it's like you need to focus on the details. That's why you're probably getting tripped up. It's the universe's way of saying, look at this. I need you to see this. Yes, the bigger picture is you want to be a millionaire, but this detail, this is important. This is important. The fact that you signed for this credit card and it is in collections is sort of it makes sense. It's a detail that you don't need to gloss over if you're trying to get it. Let's not even use millionaire as an example. Let's say you want to get a new car. You're just loving light, affirming, I'm getting a new car, I'm getting a new car. Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius is like, oh, but you have this accounting collections. Oh, but remember in college you had that repo? Yeah, Mercury retrograde is going to bring that shit up. It's to get you to see the details so you can refine them, right? Refine them so that you can get that new car. Maybe you need to dispute some of the things on your credit report. Maybe you need to make an arrangement when it comes to paying off the collections, right? Those things help facilitate the bigger picture. And no, it's not comfortable when, Mercury goes retrograde and those things come up, but they are helpful and definitely necessary. Okay. And then next week, Mercury will retrograde back into Scorpio, but I will talk about that next week. So, as you can see, there's a lot going on, and you kind of just have to roll with the punches. You really do. The other thing I want to say about Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius is that it could really have you examining your beliefs. This is sort of the more bigger picture esoteric explanation of this particular Mercury retrograde, but fine tuning your long term vision, reestablishing or reaffirming certain beliefs is also going to be a thing. Sagittarius, apart from the big picture, it's also the sign of like faith. Okay. And with that, perhaps issues related to faith, situations that test your faith. may come back around to see if you really stand 10 toes down on something or if it's time to change your point of view. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I just wanted to add that real quick because that could also be a major theme of this Mercury retrograde. All right. So now that we've gotten through the astrology, let's get into what I like to call the creator's compass, which is essentially the strategy for the week based on the astrology. And I separate it into two groups: business and creative on the one hand, and personal development on the other. So, in terms of business and creative, when we're talking about Mars and Sagittarius, share your message boldly. Speak, teach, and launch. Dare I say, also publish things as well. Sagittarius is the sign of publishing. So disseminate, speak your truth, speak up, be bold, be honest as well. But it's a great time to really vocalize and teach. Okay. Then we've got the full moon in Taurus. Celebrate wins and release what's not profitable or pleasurable. Again, that full moon is going to illuminate all of that. And so you can really observe what's going on and then act accordingly. Then we've got Venus in Scorpio. And that is lean into magnetism marketing, okay? Speak from desire, not duty. The one thing about Venus and Scorpio is that it is very sexy. It's very alluring. And if we're talking about business, if we're talking about our creative endeavors, you want to turn that up. You want to turn that magnetism up. Sex does sell, and I'm not telling you to sell sex, but I am telling you to be alluring, show that side of you, even if it's not you physically or personally, your message. Allow your messaging and your marketing to be alluring. Okay. And then finally, Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, review your content plans, your brand story, and clarify your why. What is the bigger picture of what you're doing? Mercury retrograde is going to be great for re examining all of that so that you can start to align your actions with your purpose and your intentions as opposed to just doing things just to do them. Okay. And then on the personal development side, let intensity reveal truth. And this is what I was talking about before with just rolling with the punches. The truth will set you free, but it could also hurt in the process. And it's not to say that you should anticipate pain. That's not what I'm trying to say. But sometimes to reveal that truth, it does require a bit of intensity. And this is going to be one of those weeks where that can happen. So try not to resist it, try not to block it. Because there's something that needs to be revealed right now. And so you kind of just have to allow that process to play out. Balance freedom with faithfulness to your purpose. I'm going to say that again. Balance freedom. Sorry, my shirt was kind of down there for a second. Balance freedom with faithfulness to your purpose. It reminds me of entrepreneurship generally, right? How people are like, I want to work for myself. The commitment to your purpose, to your business, is much greater than your commitment to a 9 to 5. It's a faithfulness and a loyalty to what you're doing that has to take precedence over everything. And this is one of those weeks where it doesn't necessarily have to be, in terms of entrepreneurship. It's just if you have a purpose, there is freedom in that, but there's also faithfulness, loyalty, and commitment. And don't forget that side of it, essentially. And then finally, pleasure is productive when it is aligned. Pleasure is productive when it is aligned. Pleasure is productive when it is aligned. What's not good and what takes you off your path is when you are engaging in pleasure that is not aligned, right? It doesn't move the needle. It's not helping any. Sometimes that pleasure could be more so escapism than anything else. But when it is aligned, it is productive. It's like when you are in that flow state and when you are in the zone. It's pleasurable, it's freeing, right? But it's also very productive. And I think that we have the opportunity to really tap into that this week. So I wouldn't shy away from that either. Just saying. All right. So now we get into what I like to call the altar call, which is our journal prompt and our affirmation for the week. So let's get into our journal prompt first. And that is, where am I craving more freedom in love, in work, and in money? But most importantly, what am I willing to release to get it? I want you to screenshot this. I want you to come back to this because this is the question that you want to meditate on this week. Freedom is everything, right? I think that it is perhaps the underlying thing and the underlying motivation for a lot of what we do. But much like everything else, freedom comes at a cost. And sometimes that costs you your comfort. Sometimes it temporarily costs you your stability. And what are you willing to release, to relinquish to have that freedom? Very important question to ask and answer this week. Okay, so screenshot that, come back to it, and let me know midweek how you're feeling about this and what your answer is. You can answer below in the comments. All right. And then our affirmation for the week: I am magnetic, deserving, and free to choose what sets my soul on fire. I am magnetic, deserving, and free to choose what sets my soul on fire. That's true freedom right there. That is true freedom. So I want you to write that down. I want you to also meditate on this and affirm this for this week. And that is a perfect way to align with this week's astrology. All right, my loves, that's pretty much all I've got for you for this edition of the weekly astro forecast. I sincerely hope that you were able to get at least one important piece of information that you can use going into this week and beyond. All right, again, check out my full moon in Taurus video. Check out my Love and Astrology series, which is running all week. If you want more of everything, join us over in Cosmic Collective, where I go live. There's more stuff. There's just more of everything. All right, my loves, thanks so much for tuning in. I wish you nothing but the best for this week and beyond. And I'll see you next week, same time, same place, same great astrological information. All right, my loves, have a great week.